Sometimes, revenge is best served hot. It was a regular day at school. We were done with the curriculum for the term, and our class teacher, Mr. Yusuf, was busy preparing for exams and other activities. This meant we had ample time on our hands for revision, but we chose to play around and make noise instead. After all, we were primary school students. This story happened when I was in primary 3 or 4. I'm not sure, but I remember this particular event vividly. Our noise got too loud, and Mr. Yusuf stormed in angrily, telling us to keep quiet, which we did, but only for a few minutes before we went back to making noise and roaming about. Our teacher came back, but this time he tasked me with writing the names of noisemakers as the class captain. This was one of my favorite things to do. I had a spare notebook ready to be torn in the middle anytime it was time to write the names of noisemakers or vernacular speakers. I swung into action. Everyone knew how seriously I took it, so the class went silent. Everyone except the class thug, Mujib. He never feared beating. I used to think his body was made of stones because he never felt pain from canes unless our uncle went above board. But he still wouldn't learn his lesson. Stubborn goat. LOL. I wrote his name, Festus, Howlat, Tohib, amongst other names, but pay attention to Festus and Mujib. Mr. Yusuf came back in, took the list, and dealt with them as expected. Some cried, some dusted it, and some looked at me and vowed to take revenge. I laughed because I knew there was nothing they could do, or so I thought. The following day, it was a regular morning, nothing special, until Festus pulled out 1,500 naira notes he brought to school. This was a time when students took 20 to 50 naira to school as pocket money, and this was the middle class. He gave a bullshit reason, but nobody cared. He was spending, and the whole class enjoyed it. For context, an egg roll was 30 naira. Meat pie was cheaper, puff buns, and akara were 5 naira each. Meat was as low as 20 naira. It was a private school, but still, it was in a small town, so things were way cheaper than normal. Festus was the rich man, the Odogwu, the Pablo, and Mujib was the PA, the brains behind the smooth splurging, so the kitchen staff wouldn't get suspicious. Mujib would take the money, assign a classmate for the purchase, and escort him/her to ensure Festus didn't get cheated. The classmate would bring it back. Festus and Mujib would take the lion's share, and the classmates would share the rest. Just like the day before, our teacher was even busier, but the class was silent today. They even chewed silently and drew no attention to the class. In case you were wondering where I was in all of this, I was in a corner, clenching my fist tightly while I watched everyone eat. Too proud to beg, no teacher in sight to report to, and there was a strict rule from Festus and Mujib. Anyone who shared his snacks with me will be cut off from the next rounds of snacks. Nobody dared to share with me. A lot of people wanted to get back at me for writing their names, so it was the perfect opportunity for them. Even my loyalists weren't loyal enough to lose this unending supply of goodies for me. Hours passed, and it seemed like time hadn't moved. I watched helplessly as they dined and whined. They got rid of all evidences except their glossy lips. They slowed down, and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I thought they were done, but alas, they hadn't even spent half of the money. They bought everything from rice and meat, chicken, egg rolls, meat pie, buns, puff, ponmo, akara, biscuits, sweets, drinks, etc. The day finally ended. The whole class was happy, except me. Oh boy, I looked miserable. I will never forget how glossy their lips were, how excited they were, how they shared the snacks, how their mouths moved, the sounds of their teeth crunching the crispy buns, the looks on their faces, especially Mujib and Festus. I wished I could teleport from the classroom that day. LOL. I was pained. I got home, hoping for some solace, expected something interesting for lunch, but no. I was met with more punishment. Lunch was Gary and groundnut. I was livid. The rest of the day was just as miserable. The next day, school resumed as normal. Our teacher was in class today, but everybody still giggled and talked about the adventures of the day prior. They laughed at me and made mocking gestures, adding salt to my injury. But then God intervened. He came to my rescue. Everybody say, God did. Unbeknownst to us, Festus had squandered the school fee his mom gave him to pay. He got home and lied that the school accountant, Mrs. Janet, didn't give him a receipt for the payment, which was highly unusual. His mom didn't argue. She came to school with him, and Mrs. Janet made it clear he didn't make any payment, so they both came to our class with him to investigate. My seat was directly beside our teacher's table, and I overheard the conversation between Mr. Yusuf, Festus, his mom, and Mrs. Janet. I was summoned as the class captain to explain what happened, and it was my time to shine. Oh, I snitched. I sang like a bird. I spilled everything, named names, pointed fingers, and even dug up trashed evidence. Our teacher asked the whole class, and of course they couldn't deny it. Everybody was complicit except me. They had the adult conversation, and his mom paid again so he could sit for exams. Then came the punishment. I was told to go into the bush to get good canes, and I did just that. I even went farther than usual, got the best of the best canes. You would think they wanted to flog the whole school. I got thick canes, long ones, flexible, wet, dry. I got one for each student and extras in case some broke. Mr. Deal, the school's designated flogger, was recruited, and he was happy as always. They flogged the whole class first, saving Festus and Mujib for later. Tears and cries filled the air. It was music to my ears. Call me whatever you like, but I enjoyed it. Barely 24 hours ago, laughter and mockery filled the same air. They all laughed at me while crunching on forbidden snacks. Now they're paying heavily for it. Everybody cried. Even Mujib, with his stone body, bursted into tears under severe beating. I snitched and told my uncle he had multiple layers of shirts under his uniform, and he was made to remove everything. Baba cried hot tears, same with Festus. Even now I recall how I laughed that day. Our uncle left the class after the beatings, so I had time to walk around the class, laughing hysterically like a possessed person. To this day, I still recollect how it felt like it happened yesterday, especially the revenge. I can still taste the sweetness in my mouth. But if they had given me some of those snacks, I would have received the most beating because Mr. Yusuf liked me a lot then. At the end of the day, their revenge was a blessing in disguise, and yes, Mr. Yusuf gave me money to get snacks that day too, so it was a 2-in-1 revenge for me.